Hello! Oh my god. Hi. Well, it is about dang time that we discuss the sequel to Lightlark, which is Nightbane, written by Alex Astor, from a girl who gave it 5 stars, from a girl who loved it, even though she sees the faults. This is going to be a discussion for another day. I'll give you a little intro to it someday, eventually. I'm not sure when yet, but I do think that I want to film it soon. But I really am excited to have the discussion of, why I like bad books. Because I think that, will give a lot of context for people. But yes, I like Nightbane. Does it have issues? Absolutely. Is it a love triangle? Yeah. And I liked it. I don't know what to tell you. I do. Oh, I'm so sorry. There is a cat on my lap, and I just elbowed her in the face. I'm sorry. I do like a love triangle if it's done well. Now, obviously, I am a Grimshaw girl, and I will say that, bestie to bestie, you need to know that I do love Grimm, and therefore, I can't complain with the story that I got from this. Now, we're gonna go over the beats of Nightbane. I will hopefully keep this contained to an hour and not talk your head off for too terribly long. This is the maybe only video that's really been requested. I've had a couple videos here and there over my career where people are like, can you do this? Or I'd like to see you do it, and I say, sure, girl. But this one is requested by anyone who's watched my Lark video. They're like, so are you doing Nightbane? And I'm like, yes, it's finally here. It's finally happened. I finished this. I finished my reread of this. I read it. Oh, I think I first read it back in May or something like that. It was the first half of the year for sure. So I didn't honestly remember a whole lot going into my reread. I remembered the gist, but what was in the vault, didn't remember. What happened at the end, didn't remember. So I was still reading this as if it was the first time, and I still had a fine time. I don't think that this is the worst book ever. I don't think that if you have a logical brain that it'll make any sense to you. And I think that's fair and valid, and I think it's important to know what type of reader you are when going into a book. But I am an illogical reader, so I had fun. What I will tell you, when I first picked up Nightbane, I thought that this was a duology and that Nightbane was the end, and so I didn't plan to film this video when it came out because I thought that this was the end of it. I didn't think people would want this. Come to my surprise when I finished the book that it ends on a cliffhanger, and now Skyshade is out. So now here we are talking about this so that I can read Skyshade. And then hopefully you can also go read Skyshade, which is exciting. If you want the same video for Skyshade, please let me know, and I would be happy to do it. I would gladly talk about it. I'm so nervous about it. I'm actually planning to read it this weekend, so if you're seeing this as the video is going up, it's happening this weekend. Wish me luck. I am excited. So, a little Lightlark recap to catch you up in case you didn't go back and watch the Lightlark video, which is fair and valid. It's an hour long and old. But basically, the way that Lightlark ends, it's Isla. Fucking hate her name. Don't we all? Isla is the wildling ruler. She's I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, 19, compared to all the other rulers who are 500 years old. We have Grimshaw, ruler of Nightshade. We have Oro, king of Lightlark and also ruler of the Sunlings. We have Azul, who is the ruler and a democracy of the Skyshades. Token gay black character who we love. And we have Cleo, who is the ruler of the Moonlings. And then we have Isla, who is also the new ruler of the Starlings. Previous ruler Celeste/Aurora, who was the big bad of the story. She got nixed at the end of Lightlark. Isla took her powers, and now she has abilities. So those are a quick rundown of our characters. I'm not going to try and explain to you the politics or the world. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Basically, there's the island of Lightlark that has all of the realms kind of in a space together that Oro rules over and has the powers of all of the different realms because he is the ruler of everybody and is the big old king. And then there's offshoot islands that are the main. So there's a wildling realm that is just for the wildlings. It's a little bit further. You have to take a boat to get there or teleport. It's further away. But then there's the island where there's also like an offshoot dead wildling lands. You know? So it's kind of like that. So there's the main hub and then there's everybody around separated. I think that makes sense. Basically, where we left off was Isla was doing the trials to try and break the curse that was plaguing the lands for 500 years, and it took this special 19-year-old little girl who knows nothing and was sheltered and is a choice of a character. She goes to the Centennial. They break the curse, all because she finds the heart of Lightlark. She takes some magical powers. She kills Aurora with the help of Oro. Grim betrays her, and we find out that Grim had removed Isla's memories from like their previous encounters together prior to the Centennial, and we end opening the vault. We pick up literally where Lightlark leaves off. We open with chapter 1, the vault, and the vault says no. Basically, Isla goes to open up the vault, which is on the wildling portion of the Lightlark Island, and it's dead. Nobody can use their magic there, and it's a struggling little piece of land, but there's this big vault that unlocks with the crown of the wildlings, and she tries to go in, and basically the vault's like, you incompetent little girl that has no magical abilities, you are not welcome here, and it basically like boots her out. Like there's nothing in there, and she just gets kicked out. But ever since Grimshaw left and fled the Lightlark back to his Nightshade realm, she's been seeing him and hearing him and getting visions of him, and this is basically the entire story. One of my least favorite tropes is like remembering memories out of sake of convenience, but it doesn't bother me too much with this book, I think because it's all about Grim, who I love, so it didn't bother me too much. But basically Isla's like, damn, I guess I need to learn how to use my powers, and she goes to Oro, King Oro, who has all of the abilities, so many powers, very strong. And basically she's like, okay, teach me how to be a wildling, and that's where they start. Isla, at the end of Lightlark, decides that she's going to fall in love or be in love or whatever with Oro, who is 500 years old, and I think we all had the notion that he was ancient old man, bald, with a beard, skin spotted from the sun. Like, I just pictured a real crusty, dusty old man when we saw him in... He was kind of like a father figure to Lightlark in the first book. And so, like, him being the love interest now, I understand that Grimshaw is also 500 years old, as well as Cleo and Azul, but they just, like, feel younger, and I don't know, the whole, like, immortal thing, but Isla being 19 for whatever reason, it's just a little weird. But her and Oro are a thing. They like each other, but like most of Isla's internal conflict is, what is love? Is him being nice to me love? Is me caring about his well-being love? Like, what is love? I don't know. And that's like her whole like inner dialogue. She's not good enough. She's not strong enough. She's not cut out for any of these ruling powers. And also, what is love? That's all she needs to know by the end of the book. Pretty early on, we see a prophecy vision that Isla has about Grim attacking Lightlark. There's destruction and a lot of dead bodies, and it's dark, and this prophecy of an upcoming war is just looming over her the entire book. So they decide, they have to prepare. She sees this vision of just total death and destruction, and it's oh so bad news bears. And so she's like, Grim is gonna attack us, we gotta get ready. At a nice little team meeting, everybody comes together except for Cleo does not show, and Isla has this young girl, Marin, who is a starling, kind of her right-wing woman to help with the starling happenings, seeing as, you know, she's now ruling 2 realms who don't know her, and she has no abilities or training of whatsoever, so she's like, fish out of water, what do I do? But basically, fish out of water, because at the dinner, Soren serves the moonling dish, and it's a block of ice with a live fish inside. And so the fish is, you know, in this ice block, and it starts melting. Haha, fish out of water. Anyway, not that funny. basically, Cleo does not show up to this meeting, and she's like, Grimm's declaring war, we have to be careful. And Soren's like, yeah, so Cleo says that we're blocking off from Lightlark, and she doesn't want anything to do with you guys, actually. Even though Cleo has attempted murder on Isla a few times, so it kind of makes sense that she decided to bounce. But she's done. She's blocked off her island. I think, like, the bridge is destroyed and everything. Like, you can't get to the Moonling Island portion anymore, so yos, they're headed to the new lands. But with all the politics talked about, I won't bore you with it because it's really not that interesting. But basically, by the end, Isla decides that yes, she will be the ruler of both wildlings and starlings, and announces it to the masses because nobody thinks that she's capable or cut out for it, which I do think is somewhat fair. But because she has their powers, and if Isla dies, the entire realm dies, it makes sense that she's like, no, I will step up to the plate. I will do this thing. So Isla, being the new ruler she is, she heads over to the Wildling Island with her star stick, which is how she teleports with nightshade magic. She goes to the wildlings who are starving now that they don't have to only survive off hearts. They're unprepared and don't know what to do. Like, they've trained to fight, but they're not really cut out for, like, taking care of themselves, I suppose, because it's been 500 years since they were allowed to have food that weren't human hearts. So they're struggling, and then she also goes to see the starlings, who their curse was that they died at the age 25. So it's just a bunch of kids, basically, who are really kind of going through it. They're probably the smallest faction and seen as the least useful of everybody, even though their powers are pretty hardcore. Like, they can make weapons and stuff, and shields and things. Like, they're kind of useful, especially, like, wow, I'm losing brain cells, by the way. I should preface this whole video, it is late and I'm losing brain cells. So, yes, starlings are struggling, but are willing to work with Isla to, like, figure it out and get a little bit better. And so basically they're hoping for the best and willing to do what they can, but they're really struggling as well. And then we fast forward. This book really jumps through the plot so quick. It's like it's more episodic, where it's like, okay, so now we're doing this politic things, and now we're doing this war thing, and now we're doing this self-improvement thing, and then we're going back to the war thing, and you're just, like, seeing an episodic movement where time is going fast. Eventually there's, like, a countdown, and it goes so quick. But basically, at Isla's crowning, there is a Drex attack, which are seen to be a bad flying monster things that used to be once human, and are often associated with nightshades. So people are assuming that the nightshades are attacking Lightlark folks, and people die during this. It's a whole massacre. But one of the Drex comes to, like, eat Isla and, like, sniffs her and was like, and then, like, bounces, just, like, leaves. Like, they just go. And they go back to the direction of Nightshade, and so they're like, it was the Nightshades, and because Isla doesn't have any powers, she can't protect anybody, let alone her fucking self, and so people are mad at her and are blaming her for the attack as well. And then literally right after that, she gets kidnapped. Like, what is going on? She basically gets kidnapped by the rebel group that are using the tunnel system under Lightlark that is super dangerous and really difficult to, like, travel through because, like, everything is collapsing and it's pretty bad. But this is where we get the new Skyling bodyguards for Isla, which are two twins, and their names are Avel and Ciel, something like that. And so those are her new bodyguards that are with her, like, almost all the time. So then we get our first flashback chapter, and these happen often. I'd say about 50% of the book is flashback memories while Isla is training to use her powers. She's got the Moonling power, no, she's got the Starling powers, the Wildling powers, and the Nightshade powers because of Mom and Dad, and then Aurora using the Bondmaker. So she has a lot of powers and abilities that she can hone in and learn how to use, and so whilst doing that, she's also unlocking memories with Grimshaw. And so as she's unlocking these memories, we get the first, which is their first meeting, the little meet cute, which is when she accidentally used the star stick that she had because it was just on the island of Wildling for whatever reason. Nobody seems to know. But she believes that it belongs to Starling at this time. It belongs to Celeste, who is her bestie. But she ends up in the Nightshade palace, castle place, and she ends up along a line of other women and basically gets chosen to be Grimshaw's consort. And so she gets sent to his room. Out of all of these girls, she gets picked, sent to his room, and literally, like, their first introduction is, like, making out hardcore against the wall or the door or whatever. And then she panics because this is the Nightshade ruler who would kill Isla because she's the ruler of wildlings and I guess they don't get along because of the curse or something. And so straight up she stabs him in the heart and then, like, portals away. So enemies to lovers. What about your meet cute but you kiss first and then you stab second? Yes, please. And then we time jump, training montage later. Oro introduces Isla to one of his friends, long-term friends, Enya, and Enya agrees to go to the wildling realm with like a group of people, and they're gonna teach the wildlings how to, like, farm for their food and cook their food and, like, you know, become civilized again. For whatever reason, like, that's, like, super important, and everyone's just, like, super down to agree to everything. Like, the curse has been broken, and now everyone is civil with one another, and there's no animosity unless you're the Moonling or the Nightshades. Then there's animosity. Also, if you're, like, kind of a wildling, because, like, their whole thing was they ate hearts and killed their loves. So, it, you know, they were kind of looked down upon, because, like, their whole powers was all about seductress. So, it is funny how quickly things change, but they go to assist them, and a week later, in the wildling realm, Isla gets to do her bonded ceremony, which is where she gets to go into the forest by herself with a bow and arrow. She has to find her bonded pair, which is basically her animal companion, and she has to shoot it with the bow and arrow. But only her bonded will let her shoot it. Everybody else will, like, scatter and flee. But she almost gets attacked by, like, there was a wolf, there was a spider, there was a stag, there was a bear that nearly kills her, and then her bonded comes to save her, who is a black leopard, I think, and his name is Lynx, and a fellow Moonling, Ren, introduces all this bonded stuff to Isla, and also explains that Lynx once belonged to her mother, because of course, and Lynx does not like Isla that much. It's kind of funny, because once Lynx meets Oro, Kitty's like, yeah, you can pet me and we can be friends and this is great. But, like, with Isla, it's just like, kid, I don't care about you. And it's kind of funny. Like, I know that I keep preaching that I'm a Grimshaw girl, but if you are an Oro girl for whatever reason, I haven't met one, but I know that they're there because of the Goodreads reviews, so I know they exist. So this book, to a degree, is also for you because you get a slow burn between Oro and Isla. Oro is... he's not quite golden retriever, but he is a sweet and caring guy. He really wants to make sure that Isla is well. He puts her in her room, but he moves out, so he's not, like, you know, crossing any boundaries or something. This book is so horny. Isla is so horny. And the entire time, Oro's like, you're kind of going through it right now, and a lot is on your plate, and I'm not really trying to add to it, even though she's like, but if you add to it, I can reduce my stress. And he's like, no, I'm not going to be used that way. So they have a very, like, slow burn romance, and he's just, like, kind and caring, but also in a kind of, I like you because you don't know who you are and you're kind of just a blank wall type of girl. Like, it's a weird dynamic. It doesn't really feel a whole lot to me like love. But if you like Oro and we have different opinions, that's fine. But this book is also kind of for you because you get a lot of sweet, tender moments between the two of them, like, training and making flowers for each other. And, like, he turns a rose. So one of his, like, powers is that he can touch things and turn them to gold, but not always, just sometimes. But he turns a rose into a gold rose, and she, like, wears it as a necklace. And I'm just picturing, like, a big ass rose all the time. And, like, it's gotta be heavy. If it's just pure gold, you're kidding. Anyway, but in one of their sweet, tender moments, they are training her powers, and so they finally, like, bring the wildling area back to life. Like, they give it new growth and stuff, and so it's all green and lush and pretty and not dead anymore. And then there's a dinner party, which Isla has summoned because she wants to show off her new magical abilities and powers. She's like, look how much control I am as a wildling. I can make a tree grow. And so they have this dinner party, but Grim, Master of Illusions, shows up, casts everybody into darkness, and says, this is the Grim Show, baby! And I really hope that you laughed at that because I thought it was so funny when it was like, his name's Grimshaw, but, like, he's making it a Grim Show. Ha ha ha. And it's not as funny now because I knew the joke was happening, but, like, it was so funny to me when I thought of that. I was like, I'm hilarious. Thank you. Anyway, he's like, this is the Grim Show now, and he's like, I declare war on all of you. What you gonna do about it? And basically, Grimm being, like, you know, a nice and caring guy, like, he does still, like, kind of have morals, but he's like, so I give you a month to flee Lightlark, and those who remain will be in war with me. But if I'm giving you, like, a month to pack up and go, so you don't have to fight me, and you could leave, and it could be fine. But if you choose to stay, that's on you. You get to make a choice. Now, this whole war thing is kind of bad because, one, if Lightlark dies, it's said that all the realms will eventually die because Lightlark is kind of the heart of all of the powers and abilities, and obviously if there's no magic anymore, then the rulers would, I guess, die, and if the rulers die, then everybody dies. So, like, Lightlark going down is a big no-no. Oro would obviously die because he's connected directly to Lightlark. But Cleo, in the end, decides that she's gonna meet with Isla, tell her that the Oracle is awake, which I guess, like, 2 of the 3 oracles are dead because of nightshades, and this one's just, like, in an eternal sleep, but, like, in an ice block or something, but she's dying, and so Cleo's like, just so you know, she's dying, and she wants to talk to you. And also, I had a son, and this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing this all for him, because he's dead, because, like, the curse took him. And so, like, the next day, basically, the Moonlings leave, and they head to Nightshade on their fleet of boats that they made, during the curse, while everybody had cool abilities. That was their thing, they had a fleet of boats. So they dip. They're like, peace, we're joining the winning side, and it's gonna be Grimshaw, so bye! But, good old trusty Soren, I guess, stays, and the other issue with the Moonlings leaving is Moonlings have the power of healing, and while the Wildlings have this flower that they can turn into a healing salve, per se, it heals the wounds, but it doesn't stop the pain, whereas Moonlings are true healers, so without them, devastation from war is catastrophic because, you know, they can only do so much and they have such a limited supply of these flowers because they grow in very small patches. And basically, the Oracle's not that important. She's basically like, so, yeah, war is coming and you have to get all of your memories and I'm dying and you have to come back the day of the fight in exactly 1 month, right before everything goes down. Come see me and then I'll die. You're like, thank you, Oracle, you're so very helpful. Moving on. My note literally just says, on page 62, we get the title Nightbane being mentioned, which is supposedly some type of herb, I suppose, and it's turned into a dark vial, which will take troubles and pains away, or so we are told. And this is a drug that you can buy on, like, the Nightshade night market. Oh, now you're back on. There is a Nightshade, or, like, Nightshade adjacent, who I think left the Nightshades, but he's, like, ancient. And he has Nightshade powers, so Isla trains with him as well to better her Nightshade abilities, and that's what unlocks so many of her memories with Grimm. But in the next flashback scene we get is Isla going to the Nightshade realm for the night market to get those gloves that they use in... You know, she doesn't get the glove, so I don't know how they got the glove. I think Aurora Celeste got the glove. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I don't care about the logics of this book. I just am explaining the plot. Basically, she goes to get the gloves at the market, but gets spotted, almost scalped, and then kills the guy, gets brought to Grimm, and they decide to make a little deal. She's like, how about I help you, you help me. We can be allies in the Centennial. And he's like, fine, but only if you help me find this magical sword. No information given. Kicks her right back out. Like, you should go home now. Back to the politics of it all. This book is really just a whirlwind. I maybe should have organized this in a way that would be more cohesive rather than, like, based off how you actually read the book, but here we are. We learn that the Skylings are voting whether or not they want to stay to help with the war or flee to their new lands as well, and they're doing a vote to decide that because they're a democracy, unlike everybody else. But basically, if they were to leave, which they can fly, so that's, like, a really good assist for the Drex who also fly, having just, you know, air power. If they leave, that would leave less than 25-year-old starlings, the moonlings who, you know, were completely kicked off of Lightlark basically and left to their own devices and have no attachment there, and the sunlings who are ruled by Oro. That's all you got. That just don't feel like quite enough in an army, but they're trying to get the troops together. Oro has decided that he's going to send a team to find this certain type of metal that they've researched that can be used to kill Drex if the sunlings and starlings work together to, like, melt it into weapons. That just doesn't super matter. A lot of things kind of get brought up and are mentioned, and then, like, you don't see it again, really. But eventually they do find the metal, but that's what Oro is working on. While Isla is learning with her nightshade and wildling magic how to kill things, but also bring it back. So while she's destroying things and killing them, she vows to, like, every tree she kills, basically, she'll regrow another one to replace it. And that's her little morals. And then we get a flashback. And this flashback is with Grimm and Isla going to this man called the blacksmith, who is the creator of the sword. And whilst they're climbing up this mountain, Grimm, being just the asshole who doesn't care about Isla at this point, is like, so don't bleed. See you at the top. And she's slow, she's struggling, and he pulls her to the top. She's bleeding. Of course she is. She is honestly such a danger to herself at all times. But she gets chased down by the blacksmith, stabs him in the eye, and then Grimshaw shows up and is like, don't kill her. This was the kind of a test. I just wanted to see what she would do. Okay. Basically, the whole deal with the blacksmith is that he basically kills people and uses their blood and magic to make cool weapons. And so he made this sword that is used to control the Drex, but it was also cursed by somebody so that nightshades can't use their abilities around it, or it, like, scatters, because no nightshade can wield it. So he needs Isla to help find it so that he can, you know, eventually have power and control the Drex, because there are scars opening up on Nightshade and potentially other places as well that are becoming a real danger, especially to civilization of Nightshade, where Grimm is constantly having to fight these Drex every time the scar breaks open and, like, more get released. And so he wants the sword so that he can control it and save his people. And then another memory, Isla sneaks out to go see, like, what the wildlings get up to, because she's so disconnected from her people and community. Like, she's the ruler of these people, but she's never been around them. She doesn't know the culture or anything, but she also gets attacked, of course, because this girl knows nothing but near-death experiences, and she portals herself out of danger into Grimm's arms, and, you know, he slowly warms up to her, and he helps, like, bandage her wounds, gets the salve, heals her back up, and then gives her a nice little cup of hot cocoa. And this is basically, like, the first breaking moment between the two in their previous memories, where they're starting to get a little soft for each other. They care a little bit about each other, and it's sweet. And then I also decided for you guys that I would just start listing all of the powers that Grimm has that gets listed in the book, and I genuinely don't think these are all of them, because I think, like, he can also talk through mirrors or something, but that's not brought up. The ones that I caught were he can sense flashes of emotions, he can teleport wherever he pleases, can remove memories, he has shadow wielding, self-healing, and can also sense curses on other people, and can also create illusions. He is so powerful. Like, nobody else seems to have these powers. Like, Oro, yes, is powerful. He can tell if people are lying, and he has a little bit of abilities from everyone. Like, he can fly because he's got some Skyling's powers. But, like, why is Grimm so powerful? Like, what's up with that? They're all 500 years old. Why is he so strong in comparison to everybody else? I do not get it. Anyways, moving on. A lot of the memories between Grimm and Isla are the scavenger hunt for the sword, finding it, finding people, leads, and so on and so forth, near-death experiences and fighting, but also, like, training and just bonding moments. And as a Grimshaw girl, I do like seeing, like, the little snippets of just, like, sweet memories where, like, I don't know, this book is just very tropey, and I think that's, like, a big either draw or issue people have with it, but it is very tropey, so I like the small little moments, but it's also at times where you're just like, girl, please get on with the plot. This book does not need to be this long. So once they locate the metal in the mines, Isla's, like, the only person that can get it out, of course, because she has nature magic, I guess, and so nobody else wants to do it, so she just, like, touches the stone and, like, pulls the metal out, and it's like, here you go, and then we never really see it again. Like, she does this cool little miracle, and then, like, that's it. And then she also goes to Soren and is like, hey, with your moonling healing help and my elixir, maybe we can go heal the Vinderland people who are once wildlings, ex-civilized, I suppose. Don't need to get in the moral quandaries of them. Basically is like, well, you can maybe help us heal the Vinderland, and if we can do that, because a lot of them are sick, they can join our armies. Even though they wanted to kill her, but because she's part Nightshade, they're like, we won't actually kill you. Sorry about that, babes. I don't really get it, why she's, like, the hope. That, spoiler alert, She is the cure and the curse. And at the end, the Oracle's like, yeah, girl. So, like, because you're Nightshade and Wildling, your life and your death. And somehow that gives hope to everybody on the Isle. And, like, everyone's like, yeah, we'll fight for you because of this one thing. And then she learns how to ride Lynx and gets Lynx's armor. So Lynx is ready for the war. Another kidnapping attempt. We learn from the rebel group about what the Nexus is. And this is another form of a curse. This was a curse that was created by Nightshade long before the actual other curses. And basically, this is what granted rulers the magical abilities that they have. And the Nexus is what allows the rulers to have so much power over their realms, so that if the ruler dies, so does the entire realm, which, you know, is a really big scary thing and kind of problematic, but it was all about loyalty and, like, instilling fear in people, basically. But the rebels have learned that it is possible to denounce their realm, basically, and leave, which is why you have so many, like, the Vinderland people and these monsters. Like, they all are ex-wildlings, ex-sunlings. Like, they've all left this place. They've left part of the realm. And so it is possible. And basically the rebels are like, we need your help, Isla, so that we can all have this freedom. We can all be free and do whatever we want, and we don't have to rely on a ruler to keep us alive and safe. And basically Isla's like, it sounds like because you have to kill King Oro, I can't help you. Sorry. Shit out of luck. It's so tough. It's like, I understand that you have a crush on this very old man, but, like, girl, she doesn't want to help the greater good. And basically, we don't see the rebels again. Like, they don't come into play for the rest of the book. And I'm like, why did you drop this nugget of knowledge? Obviously, it's going to be important for Skyshade, right? I sure hope so. Because it's like, tasty. That's interesting. There's some interesting stuff there. But I'm not sure if it really is going to matter or not. So then we learn in a flashback memory that Nightshade, the drug that is distilled on by the Nightshade people, oh god, their powers and names and civilians and factions all being the same name is very confusing. But basically the Nightshades distill nightbane into a drug, which is the same flower that wildlings turn into their healing elixir, which Isla in the memory is like, oh, we have a really rare amount of this, like, it doesn't grow really for us, but it is everywhere on Nightshade. Like, it is like wildflowers, it's everywhere. And so they make a deal. I don't remember what the deal is. Basically, Isla's like, I will do X for you. Oh, I'll give you healing salve from the Nightbane if you give us Nightbane, and also if you want to provide hearts for us, because supply is limited and there's only so many hearts that we can eat. So that's their little, like, deal as well, outside of the Centennial and stuff, because, you know, they're getting close. I also just wrote, after the first Bow Chicka Bow Wow dream. Sometimes notes are a little bit unhinged. After this sex dream, Isla uses the necklace to call Grim, and he's in front of her, and he's like, babe, I love you, I miss you, what's going on? And he explains that yes, he did take the wildling people from their realm to his, along with Tara and Poppy, and he also maybe, upon their request, removed their memories of abusing Isla, because they felt guilty. So yeah, like, they're waiting for her whenever she's ready to come to Nightshade. Like, the wildlings are there, ready to go. AKA they've lost them for the troops and army, and they're so screwed. But yeah, he took the wildling people. And also he took the nightbane flowers. And he's like, no, I don't control the Drex. I'm telling you, like, yes, I have the sword, but I'm not doing that. And basically is like, I am giving everybody the choice to leave so that they can remain safe. So, you know, really, I'm being the good guy here. But he's disappointed because she doesn't remember everything. And so there's clearly a lot of puzzle pieces still missing. And so he's like, fine, bye, and leaves. And he goes poof. And because of this Rocky encounter, she admits to everybody that she's like, I talked to Graham, I'm sorry, I betrayed everyone's trust, I know. It was super dangerous and foolish. And everyone's like, yeah, girl, we don't trust you, but it's fine. She decides that she's going to learn how to take the magic from people, because, oh yeah, when you're in love, you share your magic. So Oro and Isla have, like, magic sharing because they love each other. And because Grim loves Isla, she can also take his powers. So she wants to learn how to cut off his powers so that he has no abilities, so that Oro can get the kill once the fight happens. So she's decided to plot a murder. God, okay, and then the only thing that I tabbed in this entire book was this one scene where it makes my heart ache every time I read it. It's just exactly what I know to love about romance, what I want out of life and people that I know. Isla and Grimm have a memory where they like talk about like noticing little quirks about each other, and Isla says, "What a thing to be known." And it's just like, yeah, it is so freaking sweet to be known, for somebody to pay attention to your little quirks and like your little tells, and just to know intimate things about you and just like has that down and like cares so deeply that they're like, yeah, I know when you feel XYZ because you do these certain things. And it's just so sweet. And I'm a sap for it. I'm a little romantic at heart, and it's really sweet. This memory is also when she tries to admit to Grimm that she doesn't have any abilities, which he noticed because I didn't really mention because it's not important to the plot. But basically, whilst they're trying to find the sword, Isla's not able to use any magic because she had no powers at this time. And so, like, she had to seduce a criminal and had to do that completely without any magic. And she also like had to take down thieves and like was running through nature and like never used any abilities. And Grimm noticed, and he's like, yeah, I sense curses. I noticed that you don't have a curse on you. I think you're immune to curses, but like I could tell you didn't have magic, and like I know this about you. I've paid attention to you, and like it's okay that you don't. I still love you for it no matter what. And he just so intimately loves who she is. And it's my biggest qualm with Oro is once Isla starts to learn how to use the nightshade abilities and really gets comfortable in her skin and like having all of these powers and like what it means to her, and also having these past memories that she's completely forgotten, she changed. She becomes a different person. She's learning who she is, and Oro doesn't like the change. Oro is not into it, and it really tells you a lot about who he is, because he's in love with an idea of her, a concept of her, a young, naive ruler that he can maybe, I don't know, manipulate a little bit. I'm not saying he is or does, but it's just not the same true intent and feeling of love. Like, it just doesn't hit the same. And then there's a moment where Isla asks Oro, like, why he loves her, and he basically is like, I love the way that you make me feel. I love the way that you make me feel young again. I love the way that you make me feel happy. And it's like, okay, Oro, so you like her because she makes you feel good? That's not really enough to love someone. Like, you just, like, anyone can do that for you. Like, you can find anyone who makes you happy. It's a different kind of thing to say, like, I love something about her, but he made it all about himself. And I think that's just a little telling. And then there's the first act breakup, which is so silly. But we get the breakup scene in the memories. Isla comes across a baby dragon whose mom abandons them, and so Isla rescues this baby dragon and gifts it to Grimm, and they have like a little puppy type of situation where it's like the dog keeps trying to crawl in bed with me, and it's just like a very cute thing, but it's a dragon, and it's sweet. Never comes up again. This is like a one and done situation. Like, it's mentioned and you never see this dragon again. I'm assuming that like the dragon has grown a little bit bigger by now. Like, this is only months apart, if we're being really honest. So, I don't know. I hope the dragon's doing well. But we get the breakup because Grimm has to admit that Grimm knew Isla's father, who is a nightshade, and so this is how she learned that in the past, and she's really, heartbroken about him keeping this secret. Grimm explains that the reason he no longer wants the sword or the sword's abilities when Isla gets it for him, which was already a dangerous mission, but she brings it back. She's like, I got this sword for you. And he's like, I don't want it, actually. Because Isla would have had to break the curse on the sword so that Grimm would have access to it and the powers and such. But that would have either killed her or shortened her life significantly, because it's a lot of power to break such a curse. So he's like, I actually care more about you than the sword, which is opposite of what he said earlier in the book, so it's sweet. But yeah, basically, he's just like, no, I care more about you than the sword. And she gets really mad about this. She's like, you've always known this? He's like, yeah, I didn't care about you at the beginning. Which, like, I get is, like, a dick move. Like, all the wildlings would have died and everything, but he came to care for her and changed his mind. Get over it. My notes literally said, this is why Grimm didn't want the sword? This is why Grimm didn't want the sword anymore, because he fell in love. That feels noble and fine to me. I'm toxic. And finally, we get the vault reveal. And the vault is a portal to the new world, which is basically where the nightshades and moonlings are trying to go. Cleo wants to go to this new world because there's a chance of, like, reconnecting with her dead son, basically. Like, souls can prevail or whatever. And so this portal is to, like, this new land. Or I guess it's, like, more so the original land, like, where everybody originally came from. But they haven't had access to it. It's been completely shut off. And the only way that you could access it was on Wildling's land in the vault that's been shut forever. But Isla, dum-dum girl, doesn't know this, and she opens the vault and unlocks the portal. Tara comes in, and Tara's like, hey girl, missed you. You coming to Nightshade or what? Like, what's going on? Thanks for opening the portal, by the way. Bye! And supposedly, this portal will be the destruction of Lightlark, which is why it's a big no-no to open it. But it is the day of the war. It is war day. Grim is coming. Troops are ready. Basically, their whole battle plan is, like, have the people who are able to fight corner the Nightshades into one area so that they could start bringing the Vinderland, whilst Isla and Oro deal with Grim on a bridge, because that's what her vision was. That's what we get, but before all of the war can begin, we gotta go talk to the Oracle, who's basically like, fate is up to you. Fate is up to your heart. You have to choose between killing Oro or Grim. And she's like, well, I guess it's a good thing I already planned to kill Grim, but, like, I kind of am falling back in love with him because of these memories, and so I don't know, man. After the breakup happened, they kind of get back together, I think. Oh, yes, that's right. So, before the war happens again, we also have the memory that Isla and Grim meet up in Wildling Castle where her room is, her little cage, and Grim's like, the scar's open, it's really bad, I'm gonna go. And steals her star stick because he's, doesn't want her to follow, and he thinks he's gonna die. Like, it's a pretty dangerous, serious situation, and Isla, knowing now that she has Nightshade abilities, uses all her might and all her power to teleport on her own to where he is, and shows up on the battlefield, and she goes down. Oh god, my notes are making me want to cry about the thing. It says, but Isla, the all-powerful, made her way to his battlefield and sacrificed herself to save him. Even though they were fighting, they knew they were in love, and they were infinite. And so, right before, during the fight scene, present day, as they're fighting, Oro almost gets the kill on Grim because Isla takes the powers and is like, you can't kill me, pal. Isla and I are lifelink. Like, if you kill her, or me, the other one dies. And Oro's like, no, you didn't. You couldn't possibly. So basically, when she died in the previous life, he linked his life to her so that he could save her. Because he didn't want her to die. And the reason he wants to open the portal and go to this, like, a new world, other land, is because it can save her. And, like, I think it never explicitly says exactly what this, like, world can do, but it sounds like it'll save her as in, like, undo the life link, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. But that's what it sounds like it could do. It sounds like it can save her because of that. And then we get the tell-all that the prophecy that Isla had at the beginning, where she saw death and destruction at the hands of Grim, was actually death and destruction at the hands of Isla when she was sacrificing herself in killing, like, the Drex and so on to save Grimshaw. She also killed a bunch of innocents, and that's what she was picturing the entire time. Like, that's the memory that kept coming back in full force and haunting her. It was her doing the killing. So now she's got all this guilt, and she's like, oh, I'm the monster, actually. It's not these men. It's me. I'm the problem. And taking that guilt and shame that she had this whole time, basically, insinuating half of this war that didn't need to happen. And so because she's the monster now, she wants to end the relationship with Oro because of what Enya mentioned earlier, being like, King Oro has to focus on everything else. He doesn't really have the time to love. Like, as much as we all want him to be happy and have something like this, it just doesn't make sense because his attention is elsewhere. He's not taking care of the people. His first priority is Isla instead of everybody else, and he's just making dumb mistakes, and he's, just a pure little puppy dog boy. He's just so sweet. And so Oro's like, no, don't do this. You can't break up with me. And then we get the mic drop scene from Grimshaw saying, let go of my wife. What do you mean? So basically, he saves her life. They got married. He took her memories. What? Oh my god. Now here's the thing. We love these men because they care so deeply for consent. Except for when they're stealing memories. And that's the thing, is like, Grim gets consent from other people, but, you know, going into the centennial, he's just like, sorry, babe, I'm so happy that we got married, and I'm so happy you'll never remember any of this. Zap took her memories, and then the book ends with, and I quote, I love you, Oro, but I love him too. And because of his flair, he knew it was true. Oh no. And then she takes Grimm's hand, and they leave the battlefield hand in hand. I literally, what do you mean? I didn't know that this was going to be a 3-book series. I should have. I'm usually really on top of that information, but for whatever reason, didn't know this time. Boy, howdy. I was so mad when I found out that this was the cliffhanger. And I was like, finally, Grimm and Isla reunited, king and queen of the new world. I'm so down here for it. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Skyshade has to offer. It's not that long. It is not a big book, and there's a lot of loose ends. I feel like there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that I want to know, but at the same time, like, it's kind of just a vibe. Like, it's really stupid to explain, but one of the things about this book is, like, yeah, the writing is not fantastic. A lot of the similes and descriptors and stuff don't make sense, but I don't like to prescribe my logic to fantasy books because, that's just not how I roll. I know that I should, maybe, but I don't. And, you know, when she says that Oro tastes like summer, that just sounds like vibes, baby. And I'm that kind of person where it's like, yeah, I get the vibes. I don't really need to fully, like, understand what's going on in everybody's head. I get the vibes, and I'm so here for that. I enjoy the story. I think it's fun. I think it keeps me on my toes. It's not, like, revolutionary, but it's like a popcorn read. It's like reality TV. You're like, it's so messy. It's just so messy. And I do enjoy it. No, it's not great. It's got definite issues for sure, and I can't dismiss that, but I always just, you know, they're just fun. What can I say? But I'm excited to see what Skyshade does have to offer, where it's gonna go from here. I'm excited for the Grimm and Isla reunion of the century. Oh god, I really gotta go. I'm excited for them to be together again and to probably see their happily ever after, to be honest. Yeah, I just have fun with it. And I hope that you had fun with this little recap. I hope that it has prepared you for Skyshade. Do let me know that if you watch these because you don't have an interest, but you just want to know what happens, because I totally get that. But if you want me to do a deep dive plot recap of Skyshade, just let me know, and I will happily do it, because I will be reading it anyway, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have so many questions. I just want to know where it's going to go. So, yeah, if you want that from me, let me know. If you made it to the end of this video, put a wintry, icy, deathly emoji. I truly, like, I don't know a lot of the emojis, but the cover of Nightshade is like an ice castle on top of a skull or something. So if you want to do a castle emoji, or the snowflake emoji, or the skull emoji, and you want to leave a little comment to show some support, I would appreciate that. But yeah, let me know if you want Skyshade. Thanks for watching. See you guys in my next video. I hope this helped, and I can't wait to know what happens next. Alright, I'm gonna go, because I'm just gonna keep rambling, but thanks for watching. I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Goodbye!